What's going on, everybody? I decided to make a second YouTube video. The first one's only gotten a few views, but whatever. Hopefully, it helps. Because really and truly, I don't care if I get 100,000 views. I don't care, to be YouTube or any kind of social media famous. But if my advice helps one person and helps grow one person's business, then it's worth taking the time to post this video. Today I want to talk about marketing, how to get work, how to grow to make your phone ring. The previous video discussed a little bit about the basics, what I wish I knew, all that kind of stuff. When it comes to towing, there is several ways and several types of businesses within the towing business. You can do transport work, and you could subcontract out for companies like IA or Copart. That kind of is a way to get started, but with anything that I tell you, when it comes to motor clubs, when it comes to the auction work, the insurance work, always negotiate your rates. What they don't tell you is that your rates, when they give you the rate sheets, that is the little gimmick that they try to get you at to say that you'll get the most volume. I'm here to tell you that you can make more with less. And what I mean by that is when they give you, like for instance, on the motor clubs will give you rate sheets saying that you need to do, $20, $24 soft services, which is your roadside assistance type calls, or that you need to do $35 hooks and blah, blah, blah. That's a bunch of crap. You need to sit down and figure out, first off, what your cost is. Whether it's a daily cost, a mileage cost, whatever your cost is. Your truck, your fuel. You need to have a maintenance type account. Put a little bit back because old trucks will break, new trucks will break. Everything breaks. That's how the business works. But once you know that cost, then you figure out your insurance and your overhead and all that stuff, and you know what you need to make. There's your price point. Most of the time, it can be done with a daily rate. That's probably the easiest to figure out when you're getting started. You can break it down to an hourly rate of what your truck needs to make. I believe that, an older truck needs to make at least $75 to $80 an hour at the absolute minimum. That's with stupid low overhead. That's with no truck payment. That's, everything paid off, but your fuel and insurance and repairs and, your labor costs. When you start talking, finance trucks, then that is something that needs to be addressed and considered. But when it comes to the marketing, the first and foremost is make sure you have social media. Also, go to google.com/mybusiness and create a free Google business page. That will get you listed because obviously everybody knows Google is one of the largest search engines. Get listed. They will send you a postcard. Usually takes 2 or 3 weeks with a verification code. Put that verification code in. That way you're verified, you're legitimate. When you do that, once a week, once every 2 weeks, put up content on that page. Take different types of pictures, describe what you're doing. Make sure that people, leave you good detailed reviews. Not, oh, he did great, or, oh, best around. Make sure it's detailed. Hey, such and such came and towed my car from this to that and did a wonderful job, blah, blah, blah. Make sure it's detailed. Oh, such and such came and changed my tire on my such and such type of car. Make sure the more details that you can have in your reviews and in your content, the better. Because over time, that helps you with what's called organic search engine optimization. You can get into stuff called like backlinks and things like that. That's when your information is all tied together. All your social media is tied together, and your business page is on multiple sites. All the Yelps and the 411s and other search engine platforms. That's the best. That is the easiest way to start getting traffic and growing to the top of your given market, because one is time, how long you've had it in on Google. You can do the Bings, you can do the Yelps, you can do a lot. I highly recommend that you stay away when you're starting from companies. I won't name names, but there's certain companies that are very popular in the towing business that want to sell you, oh, for $500 a month, we can do this, this, and this. Stay away from those companies. That money is best used elsewhere. And you can actually do the same thing that they do yourself with a couple of YouTube videos and a little bit of time and save yourself a lot of money. Most of these companies, all they're doing is putting a Google AdWords campaign together for you and then charging you to do so. You can do the same thing for yourself with your phone, your cell phone, anything like that. I have done that in the past, and it did work. It did. Google AdWords is when you search. Sometimes when you get your results, you'll see at the top on the left-hand corner, it'll say ad. That's somebody that's paying for that service. That's something to kind of help, but keep it low. Some people spend big money on that. Some people spend $100 to $100 a day. I would spend 10 to 20, because that way if I got a call out of it a day, it paid for itself. Because usually, my average call was $75 for something like a roadside call, anything like that. And then the towing, I try to shoot for $100 minimum on tows for local stuff. Close stuff I can do within the hour, preferably within 45 minutes. Obviously, social media, networking, get your name out there, get people knowing what you're doing. The best, in my opinion, is going out there and talking with local shops, body shops, popular mechanic shops. Don't try to undercut anybody. That is the worst way to get business, is to undercut anybody, because let me tell you why. If you undercut somebody, you're getting that work just because you're cheaper, not because you're better, not because you offer a better quality service, because you're cheaper. Then when the next guy comes in and he undercuts you, guess what? They're going to go to them instead of you. That's not the type of customers you want. Going back to when I said there's several types of industries within this business, yes, you've got police rotation, you've got collision work, you've got accidents, you've got transports. There is so much you can do with a rollback. It is insane. Your wheel lift trucks are more for your impounds, your roadside assistance, your parking garages, your low clearance stuff, tight access stuff, parking enforcement type of deal. But when it comes to a rollback, if you're getting started in the business, or whatever, I highly recommend I like a wrecker. I love wreckers. I love wheel lift trucks. That is my thing. I'm all about that. But when it comes to a towing company, I highly recommend you go with a rollback, because you can get into other industries. When it comes to equipment transport, you can haul, you name it. Forklifts, bobcats, lawn tractors, small farm equipment. You can literally haul whatever. And that can help you really build up a client base and help you to, actually have a chance at succeeding, because you want to be proactive. When you're talking about your business and you don't know what to do, then you have motor clubs. Motor clubs have their place. Everybody talks trash about motor clubs. That is the biggest cancer of the industry, but it is a necessary cancer. I tell people, don't waste your time trying to get on with like a AAA. That is the cheapest of the cheap. I have had very good luck in the past with companies in my area. I'm in Georgia, but I have had great luck with Quest. I have had great luck with Nation Safe Drivers, NSD. I've had, I've done a Jero. I've done Honk. Honk was actually decent for me. Especially when they called, because if they called, and I didn't use their app, but when they called, then I knew that they were needing somebody to come help them. Urgently is another one. Honk's another one. You can get signed up with those, and can help you. I started with a Gero back in my roadside service days, and that grew into the others. And really and truly, like, that's kind of what got my foot in the door, because the thing about it is, too, going back to the Google post, when you have your Google page listed, that will also pop up when those motor clubs and other companies are needing service in your area, and let's say their service provider cannot get to you. The company will search in your given area, and they will find somebody, and they'll start at the top and go to the bottom, and you can charge retail rates for that same service. So if somebody, let's say the call was a tow for 5 miles, and their contracted rate was $45 a hook and $2 a mile, well, now you can charge $75, $80 a hook and $5 a mile for the same tow and the same people, because they have to have somebody, come and take care of this call. So that's what I said, you can do more with less once you kind of get that ball rolling. Because sometimes that one call, like I've had a company one time, they were so in a pinch to get an individual taken care of, not far from me. It was about 20 miles north of me. They could not get anybody. Nobody would answer. None of their providers would call. And even the dispatcher called me. It was a manager, actually, a supervisor, called me and said, I don't care if it costs $500. I need this person taken care of. And I thought he was joking, but he wasn't. And I was like, all right, you're willing to pay $500 for a few mile tow and all that. I said, I'll be there personally in like 20, 30 minutes. He said, great. And they paid it. So that goes to show you, sometimes it's better to kind of stand firm, but you do want to offer a quality service. You do want, just quality reviews. You do want, you want to do the best you can with what you have. It doesn't matter if you have a brand new truck, keep it clean, be presentable, be professional. Don't walk around looking like a slob. Have a kind of a dedicated uniform. It doesn't matter if it's, like a consistent colored shirt and jeans and boots or whatever. Be consistent. Don't walk around. I see people in sweatpants and, hat sideways and, flip-flops or tennis shoes or whatever. It's like, okay, be professional. Look like you know what you're doing, and hopefully you do know what you're doing, and just offer a quality service. Obviously, there is a negative stigma about towing and towing companies. Try to change that. I mean, my business is different than everybody else's business because I don't actually go for big contracts. I'm not on police rotation. I don't try to be big. I don't care about impound yards. I don't care about impounding cars, because in my area, everybody else does that. That's all everybody else cares about. My niche is I provide a quality service at a reasonable price. I'm not the cheapest. I'm not the most expensive. But when somebody calls me, I can be to them in 30 to 45 minutes. My competitors don't care about cash calls. They're all about their contracts. They're all about the police rotation. That is their bread and butter. So when somebody calls, they get to them when they can get to them. So it might be 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours. And usually people get tired of that. Then they start calling. They call me. And I'm like, I try to be as nice and respectful as I can. And I tell them what the price will be. I tell them that I'll be there in 30 minutes or 45 minutes or whatever it is. And usually they ask, are you serious? And I'm like, yeah. And that gets me a new customer, because then they don't worry about calling anybody else. They call me when something happens. The wife's car needs a jump start, or the daughter locks her keys in her car, or whatever the situation might be. That's when they call me. So therefore, it's repeat business. I get the good Google reviews, and then that just goes on and on and on. And also, when you do a service, ask them, hey, can you leave me a review, or would you be willing to leave me a review? There's a link that you can share on your Google page. It's textable. You can send an email, whatever, text message. Do that, because people, when you go that extra distance to be nice and be courteous, that's their way, obviously they pay you for your service, but that's their way of kind of giving back, because I always use the story of, I'm explaining to them, hey, could you leave me a review? That helps me, get more calls and gets more work and blah, blah, blah. So, you've got going then on top of the, the Google stuff and the marketing, you've got the IAs and Coparts. That can be used for filler work. I also got started with doing that. I signed up for IAA. It was not a bad experience. Obviously, it's very, very, very cheap. So I highly suggest you negotiate your rates. You will not get the call volume, and you might not have a whole bunch to do every single day. But when they get busy, you'll get a call and you'll get fair rates, and you might get 5 or 6 a week that pay decent. Sometimes 2 to 3 times what their normal rates pay. So instead of hauling 15 cars or whatever, you haul 5 and make the same money. I don't know about you, but that makes more sense. That's a lot less work. That's a lot less wear and tear on the truck. That just kind of works for me. But, social media, content, posting, just videos, posting pictures, staying out ahead of it, and just trying to find your niche. What are you trying to do and why are you trying to do it? Because obviously there is a lot of competition in the towing world, and you never, a lot of them don't. I haven't really been impressed with a lot of other towing companies. I see a lot of people that, they post their ads on Facebook. Doesn't really seem to work. I see them, a lot of those guys. I mean, obviously one part of the business is the junk cars, the cash for cars. Junk cars is good money, but you need to figure out what you want to do. Do you want to, have more of a business where you're transporting stuff, cars for body shops? Do you want to, be available when somebody breaks down? A lot of that will depend on your area. What kind of demographics do you have? What kind of location are you in? To figure out what works best for your business. Some guys, they will do, a few tows a week, but they're in the Midwest and the Oregons and Colorados and stuff, and they get hundreds of dollars per tow, and that works for them. I'm actually kind of envious of that. I would love to do that because I love long tows, because my business allows me to do that. I'm not about volume. I don't care. I'm not trying to do 20 calls a day. I'm trying to do 5 or 6 that are decent calls, 20-mile tows, 30-mile tows, something of decent size. That way I'm more about the quality and all that than the quantity. But if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. You can comment here or whatever, because I would love to help. I would not be where I am without the help of others. And actually helping a younger guy that I saw today. I was in a tow yard and I was dropping one off, and I saw a young man struggling. I think it was his mom with him. Just bought the tow truck and wasn't familiar with using a snatch block or a J-hook as a snatch block. And so it just went to show me that I needed to do another video to hopefully help, because like I said, even if one person watches this video and it helps their business, then it was worth doing. But anyways, the money's on the road, so keep hustling, keep digging, and don't quit. I mean, that's the biggest thing. Don't quit. It's not easy, but you will be glad that you didn't quit one day. And just keep it up. You got it. So have a good one. I'll see you.